2025 results tell us about Jamaica, our educational system, and what we need to do next. Ricardo's company is a educational services e-learning, one of the leading e-services companies in Jamaica. And so he's going to be talking about that. And I'm sure in his presentation, he will talk about the future of AI in education and what is the future for Jamaica in terms of CXC and the educational system. So we look forward to you. Ricardo, I saw your thumbs up, and there'll be a more formal introduction to you later on in the program. But thank you very much for taking the time out, and we're all looking forward to your presentation a little later on in the evening. So what we're going to do, Ricardo, just for your benefit, we're going to do some traditional Kiwanis activities, housekeeping, so to speak, and then your presentation will start around about 7:30 onwards. All right, but please stay with us, and I don't know if you're a Kiwani yourself, but you'll learn a lot about Kiwanis in our preamble to the guest speakers part of the program. All right. Also, I should bring it to everybody's attention, especially the Kiwanians, that we have another project coming up this Saturday. That's the 23rd of August. CKI from UTech is, along with the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, is putting on a Seniors Games Day. So we're having that at the Salvation Army Home for the Elderly. That's on Mannings Hill Road. And that's going to go from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. That's this Saturday. We ask that you bring your dominoes. You can bring your cards, whatever games you have. It's a morning of supporting and giving some care to our elderly citizens who are part of that home for the elderly. And most importantly, we ask that you bring your fun spirit. So, the elderly residents there appreciate the company. And the whole point of Kiwanis Club of Kingston and anybody else who's interested is to come out and share some fellowship with these residents at this time. And it is usually a very good event. So we look forward to your participation in that. Also, very important, we ask that you also carry a mask. I know we're out of COVID, but there are still some diseases that are in circulation, and especially our elderly residents are more vulnerable to that. So we ask that if you're participating, in addition to your dominoes and your cards and your fun games, that you bring a mask also to wear during that event. That's 9 to 11 this Saturday. I also should remind you that not this Friday, but the following Friday, that's the 29th of August, the Eastern Caribbean and Canada is going to have their district charity ball at the Jamaica Pegasus. The proceeds are in aid of student scholarships and grants. It is going to be put on by the district, including our own Governor Pam Rodney White. And we encourage all the Kiwanians to, if you haven't got your tickets yet, the tickets are $18,000. It's for a worthy cause, and please support it. So that's not this Friday, but the following Friday, the 29th of August, starts at 7 o'clock at the Jamaica Pegasus. And finally, just to tell you that this Saturday gone here, we continued our support for the Marie Atkins Center for the Homeless. That's Saturday, August 16th. So along with, we do this with the Kiwanis Club of Barbican. Also, there were people from Circle K UTech were there, and the support of the Seventh-day Adventists of North Street. We were able to serve breakfast and a warm beverage to over 150 residents as well as homeless people who live in the area. So that was a successful project, and it's always a good project where the members come out. The next one will be on the third Saturday in the month of September. So it's every third Saturday from 9 to 11 at the Marie Atkins Home for the Marie Atkins Shelter for the Homeless. That is on Hanover Street. So we look forward to your participation in September and oncoming months coming up. So that's it from me in terms of general activities that the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is up to, always active. You can reach out to myself or Secretary Willie if you want to participate in any of the functions that I mentioned earlier. But now I see we started with 17, but we have quite a few people who have joined us since then. We're all the way up to 40. And I'm now going to invite President Designate Zuri to do the formal introduction and welcome to our guests and fellow Kiwanians. Over to you, Zuri. I think, yep, I see you.
Thank you, President Stephen.
No problem.
Good evening, everyone. A very special welcome to another of our weekly Tuesday meetings. Welcome to the meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. I extend a special welcome to Mr. Ricardo Allen, who is our guest speaker for this evening. I will try to hold on to my youth. I won't say Jamaica CSEC results, but instead say, I won't say Jamaica CXC results, but instead we'll say the CSEC and CAPE results. I mean, I think now we refer to CXC is now the examination council and not the exams themselves. And yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with all of that. So I'm going to try to say I am young and say it's CSEC and CAPE results as opposed to CXC results. I guess Mr. Allen will speak more about that and help us to understand the difference a little bit later. If Mr. Allen, if you have any guests with you, I also extend a very special welcome to them. And I'll also give you the opportunity at this time, if you do have any guests, to just introduce them to us.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. None at this moment, but they're joining.
Okay. All right. So when they do get here, you could pass on to them on our behalf, or we might just chip in to say a very special Kiwanis Club of Kingston welcome to them. So now I'm going to, as I do weekly, give all my visiting Kiwanis clubs the opportunity to bring us greetings and let us know where you are joining us from. So I'm going to start with Kiwanis clubs outside of Jamaica. If we have any Kiwanis clubs outside of Jamaica, special welcome to you, and you can now just share with us, let us know where you are visiting from.
Hello, good night. My name is Angela. I am from Kiwanis Club Global Alliance. I'm currently the only one here, but we're expecting others to join. Thanks for inviting us, and thanks again.
You're welcome, Angela. It's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Do we have any clubs from Division 25? How about Division 24?
Hi, this is Keisha from Kiwanis Club of Discovery Bay. I'm coming to you from Runaway Bay, St. Anne, and I'm happy to be here, hoping to have a lovely night with you. Thank you for the invitation.
You're most welcome, Keisha, and it's a pleasure to have you. Always a pleasure to see someone from home on. So Discovery Bay, my place. So very special welcome to you, Keisha.
Thank you.
Do we have any other clubs from Division 25? All right, let's make our way on to Division 24. Division 23 East.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Nadine
night.
Hibbert here from Meadowvale, Kiwanis Club of Meadowvale. We have 3 members on, including President Nadine, and we're happy to be here. Hoping to have an inspiring discourse with everyone. Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. It's our pleasure to have our Meadowvale family, and I'm sure it will be interesting. It will bring back memories for some of us. So for some of us, it might just introduce us to some things that we were not aware of before. I think I was at Division 23 West, so I think I'm going to stay there. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 West?
Everyone, then Tavoy, Kiwanis Club of South St. Catherine. We have three members on, and looking forward to a great meeting.
Thank you, President, and it's our pleasure to have you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Special good evening to you, Zuri.
Good evening. Thank you so
Good
much.
evening. This is DLG Christine Morgan from the Kiwanis Club of Central Portmore. And on behalf of my president, Arena, and our team at Central Portmore, we wish for you guys all the very best. And no, to be honest, I could not have missed this meeting when I realized that your guest speaker is Ricardo Allen. So I make sure I rushed home to come and join the meeting. Trust that you'll have a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, Christine. I trust that you will enjoy your time with us, especially seeing that you're so excited about the speaker.
I am excited.
We love that. We love that.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Past Director Annette from the Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore. I'm alone at this time, so I hope to enjoy your meeting.
All right, Past Director, you're not alone. You're among family, and I hope you do enjoy the meeting as well.
Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome.
Good
Do we have
evening.
any? Go ahead.
Good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests.
Good
This
evening.
is President Ornett from the Kiwanis Club of Sunshine City, Portmore. At present, there are 2 of us online. We are expecting others to join. We really thank you for the invitation, and we're looking forward to a great meeting. Thank you.
You're most welcome. It's our pleasure to have you, and we're sure you will enjoy your time with us this evening. Do we have anyone else
Thank
from
you.
Division 23 West? All right, let's go to Division 23 Central.
Hi, PD. Zuri, how are you?
I'm good, President. How are you?
Just wonderful. So, as usual, I am President Ibrahisi from the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central, Surrey Online. And at this time, we have a delegation of 3 to include dual member DLG Desmond. Thank you so much for this invite, and we look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
You're most welcome, President. I'm sure it's going to be interesting, Prez. So we look forward to a very good meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Most
Good
welcome.
afternoon. This is VP Omar from the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. We have 2 online and for others to join. Thank you very much for your invite, and looking forward to a good meeting today. Thank you.
You're most welcome, VP. It's our pleasure to have you and your delegation join us for our meeting this evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, man, good night. Zuri, Robert here from Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew. I have 2 other members online, and I'm really looking forward, to learning as usual from Kingston Club and to hear about this meeting. So thanks also for the invite.
You're most welcome. It's a pleasure to have West St. Andrew join us. We're keeping it at Division 23 Central. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 Central? All right. So I
know New Kingston is in the house.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say, before I go to my SLPs, I did not hear anybody from New Kingston, Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, but I see my friend Tamara on, and I see my favorite on as well. So, Kiwanis Club of New Kingston.
So good evening, President. Good evening, Zuri. I don't
I
understand
was
who's
about
the
to say the
favorite.
favorite.
I don't understand you called Tamara's
favorite.
name. So who is Tamara your favorite?
No, I made a distinction. I said
That's
I
why I'm asking
see
who is your
Tamara online,
favorite.
and I also see my favorite.
Well, anyway, we
I
won't get
think my
into
favorite
that. I
knows
bring you
herself.
a
That's why she
very
opened her
special
microphone.
greeting from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston and President Sophia. And you know that we always look forward to joining the meeting, whatever is happening. And if the others feel jealous too bad, they need to join more often, and then they'll probably get their names called. I know there are 6 of us on at the moment, including Tamara. So blessings, everyone. Have an engaging and interesting meeting. This is Dale G. Gerthlin.
I thought you were going to say this is Dale G. Gertlin favorite.
Well, you didn't call my name, so I can't take it for granted, you know, that I am your favorite. But thank you anyway.
I'm sure they will hold it against me. I'm
You
sure the
keep
other
that
QAnians
charming
will hold it
smile
against me.
going. You never ever seem serious, so don't ever lose it. Blessings,
Thank you, Dale G.
everyone.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank
And
you
the other
so
members of
much.
Kiwanis Club of New Kingston join us. We look forward to you every week.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So do I have any SLPs online?
Yes, hi. My name is Kalila Johnson from Dunum Park Technical High School.
Dunum Park, and you're a Johnson, so that means you're special. So it's good to have you with us.
Hi, Aldis. I saw Aldis on.
I'm not seeing her, but if she's on, we extend special welcome.
Maybe she left, but she was on. I saw her name earlier. Sorry,
Okay.
Zoe. It's all right.
Okay. Do we have any other SLPs online? Do we have any guest of Kiwanians? I know I invited a few people. I wonder if any of them turned up. Do we have any
Sorry,
guest of...
PD Zuri?
Yes,
I see Akeem Gordon, KC, and I'm wondering if that is Key Club, Kingston College Key Club, you know?
Akeem?
Anyway.
Well, I know I did extend an invitation to Kingston College's Key Club. So not sure if they are on. If they are on, we extend special welcome to you. Do we have any guest of Kiwanians on?
Oh, I have a guest.
Okay.
PD Zuri. My niece, Cleo Bell Lewis. I see her name on, so I think she's on.
A
Welcome,
very
Cleo.
special welcome, Cleo Bell Lewis. We hope you enjoy the meeting and that it will be interesting, fun, and that you will come again. Thank you, DP Stu. Do we have any other guest of Kiwanians?
Yeah. President-elect Zuri,
Yes, DLG.
I think we'd be remiss if we did not welcome our distinguished President Paul Peart all the way from Japan tonight.
DP Paul is on?
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Welcome,
I
DP.
saw him, Willie. I saw him.
Welcome, DP.
Thank you very much, President-elect Zuri.
You're most welcome. Haven't learned the language yet, or else I would have said it to you in Japanese.
In due course.
It's our pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you.
President Stephen, I'm now going to hand over to you. I'll just say to everyone, enjoy the meeting, have fun, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Back to you, President.
Thank you, President-elect Zuri. Well handled as before. I was about to try and bail you out. You have to be very careful, as you have seen, when you're start calling ladies favorite. So you nearly got tied up, but you handled it well. But
President,
my
I'm too
words.
old, so I am accustomed to this. I don't worry about it.
I know, but it's a life lesson, DLG
It
Gertrude.
certainly is.
Which I hope is well noted by Zuri. We all
He's
love the
charming
ladies.
not to notice. He's very,
Yes, indeed.
yes, okay.
Anyway, well handled, Zuri. Next on our program is apologies for absence. There are a few Kiwanians who wanted to be here, but unfortunately were unable to join us. We do have formal apologies from DP Newton Ramdale, Distinguished President Newton, as well as Treasurer Orville, who's off the island, and Kiwanian Dr. Andy John Baptiste. Those are the three that I'm aware of. Secretary Willie, were there any other apologies that were tendered?
No, not I'm aware of, President.
Okay.
Stephen.
All right. And I will just transition into recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. Usually this is a feature that we have in our program for Kiwanian members who are from Kingston Club, and by extension, anybody who is here who is celebrating a birthday or an anniversary this week. And I see, I got the list from DP Newton that we do have a wedding anniversary coming up very shortly. Our own, very own DLG Desmond and his lovely wife Yvette are having their wedding on the 25th of August. So special wedding anniversary to you, Desmond, when that rolls around, and Yvette.
Thank you, President.
I hope you have your plans in place, and it was already in your calendar. So
Yes.
blessings and continued health and wealth to you both on your
Thank you.
anniversary. You're
Thank
most
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else who is celebrating an anniversary or a birthday today or anytime this week who would like to share it with us so that we can extend the warm greetings to you? Anybody on the call? If not, we will move along, but wishing everybody all the best. Even if you don't have a birthday or anniversary celebrating, we all celebrate life and goodwill at this time. So,
President Stephen,
yes, DP
if I
Stu.
could just squeeze this in.
Sure,
Just
go
to
ahead.
advise that we also have Mr. Wayne Wesley, who is the head of CXC. He's on the call. So just want to welcome him.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Wesley, Wayne
Yes.
Wesley.
Wayne
Yes,
Wesley.
okay, welcome. Yeah, welcome, Wayne. I'm glad you could join us, and I hope that you find the presentation engaging and informative. I should tell everybody from now also that we like to make our presentations as interactive as possible. So there will be question and answers after Mr. Allen's presentation, but also during the presentation, you can use the chat feature on the Zoom platform to ask your questions or make your comments or put your emotives at that time. Anything that you want, we'd like to, as if it was a real meeting, we'd like to encourage you to use that platform to share your thoughts and your questions. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to move into our main event. Oh, no, before we come to our main event, very important. We do have Kiwanis Education with our very own soon to be celebrating wedding anniversary, DLG Desmond, Bachelor, who is going to share with us at this point something about Kiwanis International that we might find helpful in our journey of community service. So over to you, DLG Desmond.
Thank you. Thank you, President Stephen. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians, SLP members and guests. Of course, good evening to our guest speaker, Mr. Allen. The topic is Kiwanis Coach. A Kiwanis Coach is a volunteer member who provides guidance and support, particularly to new or struggling Kiwanis clubs. This includes helping them develop long-term goals, evaluate community needs, and create annual plans and budgets. Coaches also play a crucial role in fostering a positive club culture, promoting member engagement, and connecting clubs with the broader Kiwanis family. in a little more detailed way. They assist clubs in establishing service and membership goals, help clubs conduct community needs analysis to identify areas where they can make the most impact, support club officers in developing annual plans and budgets, work to ensure members are actively involved and satisfied with their Kiwanis experience. They help with the selection and transition of new board members. They encourage clubs to grow their membership through inviting and engaging activities. They facilitate inter-club visits and encourage participation in divisions, district, and international events. They celebrate successes and recognize members' achievement to boost morale and motivation. And finally, they track club progress and offer guidance for continuous improvement. And that's it for Kiwanis Education President Stephen. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG Desmond. And I hope our Kiwanians took note of those coaching opportunities as shared with DLG Desmond. All right, without further ado, we're going to transition now into the next item on the program, which is our guest speaker and his presentation. But before we do that, I'm going to ask for the formal introduction of the guest speaker, and it will be none other than past Chairman Carlo Mason. I think I saw Carlo online earlier, so I'm going to hand over to past Chairman Carlo to do the formal introduction for our guest speaker this evening. Carlo, are you there? I'm sure I saw him online earlier. Can somebody search? There are quite a few people online.
Yeah, he's still listed as being online.
Yeah. Maybe your microphone is muted.
Let me just make a quick call.
Yeah, if you could call him. And while we're doing that, I see in the chat that we do have Director Crystal Heaven from Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay with a delegation of 3 members. So welcome to Montego Bay. Glad to have you here, and Director Crystal also. And I see the guest from we mentioned earlier, Cleo Bell. Welcome to you. Yes, and we're seeing past Chairman Carlo on screen now. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. President Stephen and those who are here visiting with us this evening, a pleasant good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker of the evening. He is none other than Mr. Ricardo Allen. Now, Mr. Ricardo Allen is a different kind of guest, shall we say. He is a dynamic founder and CEO of One Educational Services Ltd, the foremost edtech company in the Caribbean. And does it sound like I'm reading something? It is because I am. His bio is so extensive that I had to read it, but I'm not going to read everything. Ricardo Allen is a JC old boy, but I won't hold that against him. Prior to embarking on his entrepreneurial journey, that's with One, he was at the head of the structured products division at Sagicor Investments Jamaica. He has been linked or been part of various associations, such as the Jamaica Stock Exchange Best Practices Committee. I mentioned JC, that he's a JC Old Boy, and he's a member also of the Old Boys Association. He chairs the University of Technology Actuarial Science Course Advisory Committee and has been an influential voice in the Entrepreneurship Advisory Committee. In terms of academia, his accomplishments are quite wide. He was a contender for the 2010 Rhodes Scholarship. He actually earned the prestigious 2013 U.S. Fulbright Scholarship, but because he's a man who has a healthy respect for money, he declined that accolade, instead focusing on his entrepreneurial aspirations. He's a proud product of the University of the West Indies, having attained his BSc in Actuarial Science in 2011. Let me just run quickly down some of the milestones that he accomplished with One. In 2015, he was recognized as the Best Young Entrepreneur of 2015 at the NCB Nation Builder Awards. In 2016, he represented Jamaica in the inaugural Youth Leaders of the Americas initiative, which was facilitated by then US President Barack Obama. In that same year, One solidified a 5-year collaboration with international telecom giant Cable and Wireless, enriching over 3 million customers in the Caribbean and Latin America with exclusive educational content. And One in 2020 was selected as its official virtual school, delivering comprehensive syllabus coverage for grades 1 to 13 through the peak of the global pandemic. Listen, I could go on and on. I'll give the last one, which is the most recent. In 2023, One introduced the new One Academy solutions for schools, teachers, and students. And these enhancements aim to transform the education landscape, fostering impactful learning and teaching both inside and outside of school, regardless of location. After all, this seems to be the direction in which education is going. The privilege is mine, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you our speaker for the evening, Mr. Ricardo Allen, who is ready and raring to go with his headphone on and mic about to be opened. Ricardo, take it away, sir.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. President, good evening. Members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, very good evening. It's always a pleasure being in these settings. Growing up, I was a part of the Kiwanis Club of JC. We call it Key Club. It's just a pity that I didn't continue that tradition beyond high school, but certainly it's always a pleasure just to be in the company of great minds, the fun, the laughter. I love it, right? We used to have like a Sarge and things like that. I never forget. But it's a pleasure to be here speaking on such a timely topic. Just looking at the 2025 CXC CSEC results and kind of what it means for us as a region, as a country, and looking forward to see, what are the things that we need to do to kind of move the needle, right? From my perspective, I run a company very focused on this mission of moving the needle, but not just focusing on it at a grade 11 standpoint where you actually do the exam, but looking far before that, right? From that child is in grade 1, grade 2, and so on, trying to solve the problem. And I kind of want to lay the foundation before I go into my presentation by, kind of just sharing a perspective. Everybody here understands how to build a house, right? And if you don't, you first kind of lay the foundation and you kind of lay the blocks after that, right? You ensure you have your steel, your concrete, you pour it in and ensure that you have a solid foundation. You usually start with the flooring, then the columns, and then you put the blocks in between, and you kind of fill it as it goes along. Now, I want to kind of pick your brain a little, right? What if we were building a house, for example, and let's say it's a 2-story house, and let's say we kind of looked at the first level of the house and we said, you know what's true? It doesn't have to be 100% completed. We're still going to go above. So let's say you are the contractor and you come one day and you see that the guys are, let's say, 70% completed, right? And when you see that they're 70% completed, you say to them that, look, I can't wait for you to get to 100. Let's move to the second story. And let's say it's one more story. Let's say it's 3 stories, right? And the second story comes, you come again, you're the contractor again, and you say, look, well, the second story is at, 90%, but we're still going to go forward. We don't want that additional 10%. Eventually, that house will come crumbling down, right? And my view of the education system, quite frankly, is kind of like that's how it is built out. We're progressing students across the education system from grade 1 all the way up, and we looked at your grade at the end of the year, and you get an 80, you progress, and so on. Now, I have no problem with progressing to the next level, but what happened to that 10% that you did not get, right? And eventually, what happens is that you end up in high school, right? For example, you're in grade 9. And you're trying to do math, and you're trying to learn something called laws of indices, right? And you're trying to make something of it, and then you throw up your hands and say, boy, I don't understand this, right? And I hate maths, and math is the worst thing that has ever happened, and mommy, I don't want to do math, kind of thing. Not realizing that 10% that you missed in grade 3 or grade 4 or grade 5 has now contributed to your inability to learn that new skill in grade 9. And so the question is that, how do we solve that, and how does technology solve that? And that's kind of where I want to kind of land at the end of this, to give some perspective of that. Certainly, again, we started the company 10 years ago, named it One for that reason. And I'm a lover of data, a lover of numbers. So we're going to kind of sink our teeth into the numbers, look at the results from this year, look at the trends, and see what we can make of it. And, I have an interesting scenario just to share. So without anything further, I'm actually going to just share my screen and just kind of take you through my presentation. I usually don't prepare presentations when I'm speaking. I speak from the heart and just the passion, but, you're a very special group that I felt that, and I'm happy I did too, because I see Dr. Wesley on the call. So it's important for me to ensure I have my numbers right. I'm sure you'll be quick to correct me if I don't, right? First of all, by the way, something special happened this year. One was awarded by Times Magazine as one of the top 350 edtech companies in the world. We were one of 2 Caribbean companies to be there, and this is just based on the work that we've been doing. Now, I want to take you back to 2013, when I just got the idea behind One. At the time, the problem that we had was with over 110,000 students sitting the CSEC exam regionally each year, with an average pass rate of 35%, both parents and students are searching for a game changer, the tools that will make a difference. And our suggestion at the time was to use artificial intelligence. By the way, I didn't know anything about AI in its current form, but being an actual student, I had a fascination with statistics and how essentially looking at historical data can impact and lead to us kind of projecting or predicting how you learn the next thing best, right? Kind of thing. So that was an idea. So this was 10 years ago. And in 2013, this was the data at the time, right? So if you look at the regional, the Jamaica pass rate for math between 2009 to 2012, you had 38,000 students entering the exam, candidates that went up to about 46,000 by the end of 2012. And you had the pass rates kind of hovering anywhere between 31 and 36%, right? So the lowest that we recorded over that period was 31%. The highest was about 39%, right? So that was, you know, kind of the problem that we were trying to solve. And then regionally, in that same period, I wasn't able to get 2012 here. We had a regional pass rate from 2009, 39%. So it was ahead of ours, 41% for 2010, slightly ahead of ours as well, and 35% for 2011 ahead of ours. So the region has performed, it would appear, during this period ahead of Jamaica. Now, so this was 2013. In terms of 2025, you know, just looking at the data, and, you know, in preparation for this meeting, I tried to get as much data as I possibly could. I was limited in some ways, but, you know, nonetheless, if you look here, what we have here is Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana performance on the English exam. And, you know, what we have here is Jamaica's performance. So we had a really modest increase year over year. I believe we're at 85% for this year. Trinidad is hovering close to about that 81%, and then Guyana is a little below. I shared the 2019 to 2021 results because I want you to keep in mind that the persons who did CXCs in 2025 would have entered high schools in September 2020, right? So those are your COVID babies, right? But if we were to look at how the 2019 set of students, and why not 2020? Because in 2020, I know CXC made some special accommodations given COVID, etc. So if you look at the 2019 performance, I want to look at that as the history, and then we look at a post-COVID performance as the present, right? So this is what we have for English language. We have the pass rate for CXC math, for CSET math, prior to 2020 again, you know, at 2019, we were close to 60%. I believe the number was 54%, if I'm not mistaken. In 2020, that went up to 61%, but again, special accommodation was made. And then in 2021, it went below 40%. Here, more recently, you're seeing an uptick in the CSEC math performance for Jamaica, for Trinidad. Guyana also had an uptick in that number as well. And then Barbados, we're seeing a slight decline in that performance, right? I know they're due to publish their actual final results, so this Barbados number may need to be looked at. But in terms of the pass rate for selected subjects, we also looked at some STEM subjects along with IT, right? And you'll see exactly why I'm doing this. So we had IT. IT is usually a consistent performer. The students who are selected to do IT usually do well. In IT, keep in mind, not all students actually sit IT, where math and language, those are mandatory subjects. Not every student, you know, actually take IT. So you find that the students who are interested usually do better at the subjects, right? Biology, we have seen an increase, modest decline in physics, modest decline in chemistry. And this is Jamaica number that you're looking at. And then when we look at English and math comparison, again, you know, we have an increase in English in recent times, increase in math. And these increases, by the way, is a little above that 39% that I showed you 10 years ago in 2023. So we've been kind of improving, right? Now, if we look at Jamaica's performance in terms of math and language, you know, in 2019, we had English language at about 82%. 85% in 2025, so that's actually a good job. And I know the ministry has been doing a lot of work in trying to work with the schools in a tactical approach to get this done. We are also involved in that process as a company. So, you know, while I can't speak on data that's not publicly available, I can tell you that a lot of work is being done there. 2024 was 76%, so this 85% is actually, you know, I would have said about a 900 basis points movement from 2024. Math is recovering, but still below the 2019 level. So in 2019, pre-COVID, math was at 54%. So 54% of students who start math passed the exam. In 2025, that number is 44. But importantly, last year, it was 39. So it is seen as an increase. And again, there was a 61% in COVID, but again, there were special accommodations made for this period. We saw 2025 biology being at 84, IT at 88, physics at 63, chemistry at 58. These numbers for physics and chemistry is down from the 2024 numbers that you're looking at. Biology is up, integrated science at 44% last year as well. And then perhaps the benchmark. So why is this a benchmark? You know, to matriculate into university, the standard or the baseline for a lot of universities, not all, is that you must have 5 or more CSEC subjects, including math and language, right? So, you know, we have in 2019, 28% of candidates achieving that 5 or more, including math and language. Which, you know, let's call that the core for now. And then in 2023 to 2025, we had that number moving from 2021 in 2023 to about 19.2% in 2025, right? Last year it was about 18%. So, you know, what you can take from this is almost that roughly about 20% of students are able to matriculate, if that's the standard of a university, to a tertiary education. Of course, there are other things that they can do, other pathways that they can do. They can go to Hart, they can go to a, somewhere that allows them to take what's called preliminary or prelim. UA has a nice program there that you take the CSEC subjects while you're doing kind of prerequisites courses at university, but nonetheless, 90% is your number. Now, this number is interesting because when you look at, for example, the matriculation into universities across Jamaica, you find that roughly about 15 to 20% of students matriculate upwards, right? You also find something very important in the workforce. There's a report that came out, I believe about 5 years ago, that suggests that when you look at our workforce of about 1.3 million people in Jamaica, the entire workforce, okay, you're finding that less than 20% are educated beyond are at a tertiary level, right? Which is very much consistent with the data that we're kind of seeing here. In terms of the region, in terms of a regional context, 2025 regional benchmark, 5 or more subject rose 41% to 44%. So the region is ahead of where Jamaica is, right? We're at 19%, okay? So we have a lot of work to do there. Math rose 36% from 36% in 2024, 39% in 2025. English increased regionally. And this was flagged by CXC, of course, as a significant turnaround from the 2024 dip. In Trinidad, how are they doing, right? In Trinidad, roughly about 60% in 2019 got 5 or more subjects inclusive of math and language. In 2020, that number went down to about 55%. In 2025, that number is about 50%. So about 50% of all students in Trinidad and Tobago have that 5 or more subjects inclusive of math and language, right? 2025 numbers, overall pass rate in Trinidad is 70%. 5+ subject, 5 or more in any subject was 61%. English was 80% and math was 45%. Barbados, that 5+ number that we speak about in 2019, that was 60%. 2021, it's 55%. I wasn't able to get the number beyond that, but you get the picture, right? The 5 or more subjects, the Caribbean is doing a little better than Jamaica is doing, right? And then Guyana. Guyana is an interesting story, right? Because last year they had some challenges with math, where they had not so great performance. And this year they did a lot of intervention strategies that caused them to kind of increase that number. And so, they had a nice increase in their numbers there. Now, what jumps out at us, a few quick things. Jamaica and Trinidad are at or above 2019 levels in 2025. Guyana is solid at the 71%. Regional English has rebounded. 2024 was a tough year. Through regionally 36 for math. 2025 shows a modest increase, to 39% regionally, with Jamaica at the 44 and Trinidad 46, Guyana 32, still below the pre-COVID levels. 5+, including math and language, regional rises from 41 to 44 in 2025. TNT has rebounded, and Jamaica inches up from 18% last year to 19%, right? And then science and IT, IT and biology are strong, but physics and chemistry actually softened versus 2024. So we saw a slight decline in that, right? And then in terms of the impact, finally, you know, what's the impact of these CSEC results? I would have shared that a matriculation standard for any university is that you get 5 or more subjects, including math and language. Well, in Jamaica's context, if we look at it, you know, 85% in language, English language, 44% in math, 19% having that 5 or more subjects, including math and language, right? There are 4 key things I want to point out. Number one, university enrollment, obviously, is impacted here, right? Because less student meets that minimum matriculation standards in a lot of cases. As I mentioned, universities have found a way around this. They have a lot of prerequisite courses that you can take. So they allow you into the university and allow you to kind of continue working on those. Workforce readiness is something that we have to look at. Higher employer remediation, technician gaps, rising call to import skills. You would have seen in the news where there's a lot of calls to import skills, right? You know, and it's crazy to me because, you know, I've always felt that we have enough locally to do the job, right? And if we continue to import skills without preparing our own, then we will forever be in this kind of lull. And so that is something that we have to be super careful about. You know, productivity and growth, right? Quality and safety risk on shop floor, slower digital AI adoption, teacher pipeline strain. Again, if you don't have quality people coming out of the high schools, matriculating into higher studies, then, you know, the productivity and the workforce is impacted. And that's a big deal now, right? Because, you know, the global lingua franca is not going to be English anymore. It's going to be AI, artificial intelligence, digital technologies, right? And if you're not equipped to be able to have your people be able to not only use it to their advantage, but to create, right? And to create high value industries where we can all do better, right? Then we're in problems. So this is a problem for everybody, okay? And then the bottom line, importing labor, automation, micro-credentials, stop gaps, only numeracy recovery grade 79, you know, math fixes this gap pipeline, right? So, you know, why do we call it a recovery? Because the kids are going into high school with a lot of challenges, right? You know, we have done better in PEP, but there are still some challenges that I know the ministry is actually working on fixing. But if you get the students in grade 7 and they have these literacy and numeracy challenges, right? You know, it becomes even more difficult to fix the problem based on that analogy I gave to start. So these are, you know, some of the impact that it will have. Now, why Jamaica's math pass is still low, right? And this is my perspective based on the work that I've done in the field, right? Number one, there's a weak foundation at grade 7. Many students enter high school below the numeracy proficiency. In 2020 to 2022, we had the students staying at home that compounded the gaps. We couldn't find some of the students as well. We don't know where they were. So the grade teachers in the classroom would usually work with these students. You couldn't find them, right? Grade 10 and 11 become like a teach new and a remedial kind of approach, right? So we're trying to kind of just smack everything into 2 years, hoping to work magic. And this has been the thing for the last however many years, and it doesn't work, right? The best way is to build that house to get that 100% coming up, right? Kind of thing. That's what we have to work on. Specialist teacher gaps and uneven coverage, not enough experienced math teachers and uneven deployment. You know, we have a situation in Jamaica where the government has even moved towards providing scholarships for persons who want to study math and STEM subjects. That has certainly helped, but we still have a challenge where we don't have enough maths teachers. And this is important. In places like Singapore, it is much more difficult to become a teacher than it's become a doctor, for example. And the reason for that is that the best of the best is selected to teach in the classroom. So where you have people in industry who are really good at what they do and they're good at math and so on, right? How do we get those persons to go into the classroom to teach? So for example, when I'm in the classroom and I'm teaching math, and I'm teaching you about volumes and areas and things like that, I get a stack, I get, for example, a bread or a loaf of bread that, sliced bread, and I'm explaining to you the surface area of each of the slices, and then I'm putting it back together. And so when you add all of these together, you find the number of them that you've added together, you multiply the surface area of one slice by the number of slices that you have, and that's how you come up with the volume. We need people who understand the math and the subject matter such that they can teach people and teach the students, motivate and inspire them to wanting to do the math, so that they don't have that fear of the math. And I'm focusing on math because it's the biggest challenge, but it can be applied to just about anything, right? So that's the idea. We need our best to be in the classroom. And how do we get them to be in the classroom? I know election is near. I don't want to say anything that will be political in nature, but certainly the teachers, we need to ensure that we increase that wage bill such that our teachers can get compensated. And the ministry and the government, they have done work to move that needle. But I'm saying that it needs to be such that it can attract someone from private sector who would otherwise be occupied in them big job. They need to get back in the classroom. We would need our best back in the classroom. Okay. Practice misaligned to exam. So every procedural drills, but limited non-routine multi-step problems. People are practicing to pass the exam, right? That's usually doesn't work. Even if you pass the exam, you fail at UWI. I had a number of those in my class where they come in, they're bright people, they pass the exam, but you ask them to solve a problem, they don't know how to solve the problem. You give them something new they don't know, right? So they lack problem-solving skill. What they know how to do is to kind of repeat what you have taught them, right? And that's something that we have seen. Data poor remediation. So few schools track the objective level mastery of the students, right? So intervention is a whole class, not targeted. Many students sit 6 to 8 subjects, but miss math or language, collapsing the 5+ include bundle. Mindset and attendance headwinds. We have a problem in Jamaica where people don't go to school on Friday because they don't have bus fare and that sort of thing. We need to change all of that, right? Math anxiety, fragile confidence, irregular attendance, homework culture. It all adds to it. It all adds to it, right? Resource constraint at the last mile. We have a situation where the schools that, like my JC that I attended, as a whole boy, I go back and I help them to teach the math, for example, right? How many of us go back to our schools and so on? Some of us don't have the resources. So some schools are more resourced than others, and that adds to the problem as well. And so what's next, right? Fixing this requires a personalized, objective level mastery, right? Kind of like a short diagnostic cycle. Targeted practice on each weak skill. So we have to get granular and guarantee time on task, not just more teaching time. So what do I mean by this, right? We experimented with a model last year where instead of the teacher going into the classroom and teaching, what we did is that we supplied the teacher at the beginning of every class on the skill level and the weaknesses of each of the children in the classroom. So each child in the classroom, we were able to say to the teacher that, listen, on the topic you're teaching now, this is the one, this is the strong point, this is the weakness, and these are the ones who are having trouble, right? We call it a skills gap test, okay? And what we found was that instead of the teacher teaching a general topic, the teacher was able to go around the class while the lesson was being played. She went around the class and she became almost like a facilitator. And she facilitated learning. So the one who was weak, she brought him up. And the one who was strong, he was assisting another peer and that sort of thing. So you have like a collaborative learning environment. And we felt that something like that works, right? So this is a perfect segue into a quick analysis I did. So let's take 2019 data. These are the actual results from 2019 members. And in 2019, we have looked at all of these subjects. We call it the top 18 subjects at the CSEC level, right? So these are the 18 subjects that have the most entrance annually, right? Kind of thing. So you'll take biology all the way down to Spanish, and math is right there in the middle at 86,000 candidate entry in 2019, okay? In 2019, we had a 46% pass rate and so on. Now, if you realize, look at grade 4. I want you to focus on grade 4. I want you to focus here, right? So I want you to focus on this line right here, this grade 4 here, right? And in grade 4, let me see if I can highlight this for you, right? In 2019, if you look at the grade 4 performance, right? The persons who got grade 4 on the exam, look at math. 22,000 persons got grade 4 in math. 22,000 persons, right? And we had a 46% pass rate. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question now, right? What if, you remember that question I started with? What if we're building the house and we build it to 100%? What will that lead to? Well, let's think about this for a minute. I did an analysis and I assume that every child got an improvement of 1 grade level. So if you got a grade 5, you now get a grade 4. If you got a grade 4, you now have a grade 3. If you get a grade 3, you now have a grade 2. Let's assume that every child has 1 grade point improvement in their results, right? From 2019. What's the outcome? Anybody can guess? Anybody can guess what's the outcome? I want you to tell me what's the outcome. I want you to make a guess as to what that percentage pass rate in math would have been. If everybody got a 1 point increase, grade 4 becoming grade 3, and so on and so forth. What would it have been? I want you to put some numbers in the chat, right? You're going to see the numbers. I want to put some numbers in the chat, right? I'm not seeing person, I'm not asking you to do math, just give me. So we had a 46% pass rate in math in 2019, and I'm asking the question, what would it have been if everybody got a 1 point increase, meaning that we worked on their skills such that they can just move the needle by 1 grade point, right? Somebody says 68%, Kerry. Well, Kerry, you're not too far. 75% we would have been in math, leading the Caribbean, right? And so the point is that if we moved the needle where the 22,000 who got the grade 4 last year or in 2019, we moved them by 1 grade point and they got the grade 3, we would have been at 75% for the math. And then, for example, for English language, we're at 97% and so on and so forth. And so the point I'm making is, and the claim I'm making is that if we were to zone in on the skills at a granular level for every child, because that's how education was supposed to be, you know. It was not supposed to be us in a classroom. That is industrialization that caused that. And modern day Germany, Prussia, we had to mass produce people up to grade 9 so that we prepare them for the work world. Education was created to be a personalized science where you were prepared for the workforce for a specific discipline. Okay. And industrialization changed the game. We had to change the game because it couldn't be kept the same way. And so that's why we have 30, 40 kids in a class trying to learn the subject matter, and who get left behind, and who advances. But how do we track on our individual level the students and their performance? Well, we have at one-on-one, I have tried my part to play my part and our company in advancing this whole idea and working towards this. And as I mentioned, you know, one of the ways that we do this, right? And I'll just kind of, because I want to take some question at the end, but one of the ways we do this is that we focus at first on a skills gap test. Every child needs to do a skills gap test. And you're not doing a skills gap test with 60 questions, 50 questions, none of that. No. We're giving you a gap test on your specific objective based on research that we've done. There's something that is well researched. Back from the 70s, a lot of PhDs have published papers on it. It's a very sophisticated way of measuring, precision measuring of students' ability. That's what we have implemented at one-on-one. And what we're doing, we're rolling it out fully in September. But what we aspire to do is to allow a student within 8 to 10 questions to get a precise view of where they are in the specific ability we're measuring, okay? And once we understand the ability that we're measuring, we're giving every child a unique pathway, So just like you want to go to Afro Tree, you're standing downtown, you want to go to Portmore, you have a map and you see how you get there. Every child will now get a pathway on how they can acquire that knowledge, okay, that they're gapping, right? And if the person is advanced, great. Here are some advanced topics, okay? And so the skills gap test is core to what we need to do. We need to know where you are, okay? Once we know where you are, we need to be able to report it. The parents need to know, the teachers need to know, okay? The ministry needs to know, okay? Civil society needs to know, okay? The workforce needs to know. We need to know what our gaps are in our education system, okay? Once we know that, and I can create these personalized learning paths, recommendation based on the gap test results, then you can intervene, okay? And you're intervene based on data, precision data, and whether it is an AI tutor, whether it is extra classes, whatever you do, whether it is the teacher in the classroom, being armed with that data now to say, listen, I have 30 students, John Brown, Mary Jane, and this one and that one, and these are the gaps in knowledge for each and every one of those children, okay? And that's how we move everybody by 1 grade point so that we can be at the 75% versus the what you call it, the 46% or the 30% that we've been hovering around. Now, in terms of another thing that we're doing in Jamaica, we recognize that a lot of the teachers are, there was a period where they were migrating. They're now coming back. The ministry has reported that, right? But one of the things that we did was that we coming out of the IPO in 2022, we invested in a massive content studio, it's right down there in Leonard Road. I'll invite any of you to come. And what we have built 5 classrooms of the future. So think of a futuristic classroom, we built it. And before the teachers reach on the plane, we're offering them a job at that content studio so that they can teach there, and we distribute that class to 100 classrooms across Jamaica. And so what we've done is a model, and we call it the classroom solution model, where the teacher teaches centrally. We stream it simultaneously to all the schools. So Campion has the best teacher, no problem. I'm going to get Campion teacher and I'm going to beam her into Edith Dalton James, right? Kind of thing. And vice versa. Herbert Morrison has a very good tech book thing for auto mechanics and so on. I'm going to beam them back into Jamaica College. And so you create an education system where in scarcity and we don't have enough teachers, essentially, you can allow the best teachers wherever they are to reach the last mile, whether it is Westwood in Brownstown, there, Stewarttown, or wherever it is, you can connect the schools together. And the kids know when they go home, they can rewatch the lesson and they can practice and so on. And why this is important too is that, I say, Dr. Wesley is on the call. There are some subjects that CXC are offering that are really good, right? Advanced kind of things that they're doing, okay? And so, but we don't have enough teachers to teach those subjects, okay? For example, I'm sure CXC would want to do something in artificial intelligence. Well, how do you find enough people to teach them in every school? And so this model allows you to teach it once and you distribute. And so what we did was that we installed these massive screens. This is not China, guys. This is Jamaica. We did this in 100 schools in partnership with the Ministry of Education. And what we're doing now is beaming the classes to those schools. And in cases where there's no internet, we built a little solution to ensure that it fits on that. So these are some things that we're doing. You're seeing here, let me see if I can share the audio. You're seeing here the live version of the kids actually using this. This is the teacher kind of beamed in. This is Newell High School in St. Elizabeth. So you get the idea, right? These are the things that we have to do. We have to be brave, we have to be bold, and we have to do it. Now, one last thing.
Lesson planning eating up your time.
When a teacher receives a report on all the gaps in knowledge of their students, okay, what do they do with it? Well, wouldn't it be great if teachers can use those very skills and prepare content for those students? Absolutely. And so what we're doing is allowing the teachers now to use the data that we have on all the gaps in knowledge of their students now to prepare the handouts and the assessment and so on by using AI. So teachers spend a lot of time building lesson plans and so on, and this is something that we're doing, right? And then finally, come September, we're going to be launching Una Intelligence, and I'm very proud of this because it puts a cap on 10 years of research and work that we've done, where we have literally written a model baked in science that really kind of focuses on if we can know what the students need to know by looking at the CSEC syllabus and so on, if we can track what they already know and we can track what they need to know, then I probably could teach them the next thing in a way that they understand it. And so, you know, this is Una Intelligence, and I'll just kind of end by allowing you just to watch this video. I hope you're hearing the audio. You're hearing the audio?
We live in a world of infinite information.
Yes, you can hear.
Yes. So how do we know what we don't know? What are the signals that reveal the gaps? You start by understanding your strengths. Una Intelligence helps you see what you know. And clearly illuminates your opportunities for growth. This is precision learning, the power to stop searching and start building, delivering precision knowledge in our schools, turning challenge into achievement, in our workplace, turning individual skills into team success, in our world, turning human potential into progress. Introducing Una Intelligence, personalized knowledge acquisition, in schools, in the workplace, everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me and listening to me. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Ricardo. That last video, I think it needs a little explanation. I don't know, maybe, could you just, what did we just see a while ago?
What you see is a very powerful model that we're working on, which is artificial intelligence mixed with what we call advanced Bayesian statistics, where we are tracking everything that the kids know and we're storing it in a way that only the student can have access to. And we're using this to train AI models to teach the students down to the very thing that they know. And so this is something we've been working on for the past, I would say intensively for the past 3 years since our IPO. But before that, we did a lot of research. So we believe this will have an impact both in schools and also in the workplace where, you know, if I can know what your job description is and what your capabilities are, then I could perhaps challenge you to learn the next thing that you need to learn based on your own capabilities. So that's the idea behind it. And this is something that, you know, is groundbreaking as far as we're concerned, not being done anywhere else in the world and being led by a Jamaican company. So that's the best way to kind of explain it.
Thank you. I see a hand up. Carrie Lindo, go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm asking about the video that you just shared. Would it also accept like test? Because we normally do, teachers normally conduct diagnostic tests at the beginning of the year.
Right. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? The short answer is yes, but we believe that we would want to give teachers those diagnostic tests to be done in a way that causes it to be more precise. And for us, what that means is essentially a computer-based, or it could be paper-based, adaptive test, where essentially instead of giving you a fixed paper, what we do is that, you know, the system and the model makes a guess about what your ability is. And what it does is that it iteratively gives you questions that, you know, you and I could be doing the tests, and based on your ability and my ability, we get two different tests. But what it does at the end, it gives you a precise measurement of what your ability is. So you're not going to get a percentage where you get 90 out of 100 or 40 out of 100, right? What it's going to say to you is that on this skill of algebra, we do it based on depths of knowledge. So if you're a teacher, what that means is that, do you have a foundational understanding, or do you have a mastery understanding? You know, is it that you have reasoning understanding? So what is your depths of knowledge of this skill that we're looking at? So the point is that what we're doing is to give teachers the ability to assign a diagnostic test to a child So they no longer have to do it anymore. So what we've taken is, for example, the CXC and the CSEC curriculum, and we've essentially trained our model to do precision testing on each specific objective of that syllabus. And we've also done it for the national standard curriculum in Jamaica up to grade 9, where you get the tests specific to the objective that you're asked to learn. So we're tracking those as ability, and over time, just as the analogy I gave, over time, we can see John Brown in grade 3 was at, let's say, a foundational level in algebra, okay? But at a grade 7, they're at a different level, right? Kind of thing. And it takes into account, obviously, the difficulty of algebra would have increased.
Okay, let's go on to Paula and Moore. I see your hand is up.
Good night, everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Great. First thing, greetings from Barbados. I just want to thank Clio for the kind invitation, and it's always wonderful to engage with fellow CARICOM members. My comment is a general one, in that I just want to thank you, sir, for a very informative and thought-provoking presentation. I'm not sure to what extent you may have had any contact with our Ministry of Education Transformation. Barbados is in the midst of a very exciting time in education where we're looking at finalizing education transformation of our public education system. And what you have detailed as your product offering and value proposition, it dovetails really well with what my understanding is as to the objectives of our ministry, which is to ensure that every child meets its fullest potential in alignment with the UN rights of the child.
SDG.
Yes. My quick comment is, I know time is of the essence, is that I have a particular concern that there is a challenge whereby the extent to which the public school system does not meet the needs of differently able children, whether it's neurodivergent children that need remedial support, particularly at the primary school level, which is obviously a foundational level for education. What we are seeing in Barbados more and more, for those reasons, and there's a certain lack of confidence due to certain challenges that have emanated out of CXC grading, particularly after the crisis in 2020 and what manifested after that. I am concerned, and others are concerned, that you may see a growing disparity between the have and have-nots, that those parents, the 1%, as we call it in Barbados, that have the financial means to ensure that their children have the best that is available, that they exit the public school system, and resources may be withdrawn by parents that could go into further enhancing the public school system, and you end up with a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And we go back to where we were before independence in our respective jurisdictions. I wondered if perhaps that is something that you might want to speak to, concerns in that connection. The privatization of education is what I'm getting at.
No, absolutely. Thanks for that question. And I tell you why that is important. You know, I grew up, and just to answer your question about Barbados, we actually just completed the report card cycle for Barbados. So we were instrumental in working with the ministry at an enterprise level, meaning at a government level, to digitally generate report cards this year. So we do some work with them, and we're looking forward to seeing how we do more work with them. Now, this is a very important topic for me. I have 3 daughters. One is 10, one is 7, and then I have a newborn. She's 10 months old, right? And, you know, what I've found is essentially, for example, we do a lot of testing with our kids. Like, we can afford at this time now to take them to see if there's any development challenges or anything like that. And I do recognize that I did not have the same opportunities when I was growing up. In fact, there's a research that came out recently that says that a lot of students who suffer from some of these issues or any learning challenges, if they exist, they go undiagnosed. And so the teacher, they believe that this is a normal child in front of them that is trying to learn, and, they're not learning and they're not getting it, and they cannot understand why. And so we need to solve that problem. Now, I am not an expert on this, but I believe I have a path that potentially could solve it. Currently, our model is looking at what's called a latent ability. We're using a model that is sufficiently unidimensional, which means that it tracks the ability and one specific thing or trait. And we believe this can be extended to track other traits, particularly in not necessarily knowledge, but any sort of, any issues that may be affecting the child and impacting learning. There are a lot of research here. I'm very open to partnering with people who have the knowledge. We have the technology we can work towards. I do not understand it enough, and grant funding will have to come to the fore, because again, from a capitalist standpoint, nobody is going to solve this problem because it may not be the nicest or the easiest or the profitable way, right? So while the passion is there, I'm calling on those who can. Anybody on the call who is an expert in this area, or anybody let them reach out and we figure this out together, because this is something I'd be very interested in, if for nothing else, for my 3 little girls.
You said something earlier, Ricardo, about problem solving being a problem.
Yeah.
Was that specifically thinking of maths or generally problem solving?
No, it's general, right? It's general. I found that, if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, where the highest part of learning is your ability to create something new, okay? We don't have enough of those persons within our education system, but that's how we've been trained. We've been trained not necessarily to create. I mean, again, the ministry is doing a lot of work now to change that by introducing STEM and infusing problem solving in just about everything that you learn. But where we are as a result of years of kind of going into a classroom, being drilled to do an exam at the end of the day, is that, we focus more on passing that exam versus understanding the concepts. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I was attending university, so I call myself the rogue actor, right? So when I was attending university and I was in my university classes, no matter how hard I try, I could not pass an exam that I don't understand the subject matter, right? I would get stuck on just understanding why this makes sense. And, I was preparing for one of my actual exams, and I believe it's in financial mathematics. It was the second exam. And I read this book. It was about this thing. And when I read the book, I formed an understanding of the subject matter. But when I attempted to practice problems, I realized that, it did not conform, or it was not consistent with my thought process. In fact, I did it one way and I got the answer, and I tried it another way based on my knowledge, and I got it wrong. So I wrote to the book publishers, right? First of all, I went to all my colleagues and I said to them, look, why this thing is giving me the wrong answer? They tell me, Ricardo, you're too miserable, man. Forget about it. Just answer the question and move on. But I was just so stuck on the problem. And anyhow, I wrote to the book publishers and I said, look, I understood the thing this way. The question is this, and I applied this theory to this, and it not coming back. They wrote me back to say, my thinking is correct. And they updated the book and gave me some acknowledgement. The point is that there's not a lot of persons who are willing who believe that the purpose of education is to understand, not to pass an exam. I couldn't care less if I passed the exam or not. Because if I understood this topic enough, I can change the world. And so that's how I see education. And so I believe that we need to teach that concept from the youngest of us, right? The grade 1, the grade 2, the grade 3, all the way up, problem solving in language, and why it's more important now, because the kids can use AI to get the answer. Okay, so you continuing to test them in the way that you have been testing them, they just use AI to get the answer, and both of us kind of conform to this legacy way of thinking, versus give them a problem to solve, have them think through the problem and the steps that they would take to solve the problem. And what you get are more thinkers at a very high level, and those are the people who create, as I'm doing now for education.
I don't see a hand up, but let me just ask this question. In the teachers' colleges now, what you are talking about, and how is that meshing with what is being taught in training of teachers? Is there a dichotomy there?
Yeah, well, I don't have enough information on the teachers' college to speak on what they're teaching or not. I'll tell you what I know. From my experience.
Sorry, let me ask you, are most of the teachers coming out of the teachers' colleges, or are they going to university?
Well, my understanding is that there are a lot of persons going to teachers' colleges and they're entering the school system. And you do have some persons attending universities who are teaching, right? So they may not get a teaching degree, but they come and teach. But you have a far greater number going to the teachers' colleges and they're teaching. That's my understanding, right? You know, I'm not sure if that is so. But what I will say is this, that I believe that the institutions who are charged with preparing persons for the classrooms, they are trying their best. And I genuinely feel that way. I feel that the UA, the UTech, and the MICOs of the world, the Bethlehem Teachers College, they're all trying, and they're trying to teach the teachers how to teach. However, when the teacher go into the classroom, no matter how well prepared you are, if you don't have the resources, I told you about my loaf of bread story and the number of discs that I used to bring to my math classes. You find that teachers still have to be going into their pocket to get these very resources to teach. These assessments that you have to do, let's say I want to give you a project to go home and explore. The kids don't have the resources to explore that project. My daughter went to school overseas for a few months last year. I was in the US. And I saw her coming home with all of these apparatus and things, doing projects and so on. Now, I was excited because, you know, I like those sort of things, but we don't have that level of resources because of where we are. So the question is that, how do we make the most of what we have, right? And I put it to you that, you know, we have to do some of the things we're doing now, and we have to change the path in some areas. We have to invest more in education. And what do I mean by that? By the way, education is the #1 spender in our budget right now in Jamaica. We spend 200 million on education. But what do I mean by spending more? To implement a toll road in Jamaica, we got the French and the Chinese to do the upfront investment. And what we did, we paid a toll to use it. And that's how we facilitated it. And, you know, I love roads, right? I really love roads. Nice, smooth, lovely roads. The question is that, however, why is it that we keep looking at education as an expenditure that is exhausted over 1 year versus a capital expenditure which is giving value over a longer term? Meaning, when we look at a road, the reason why we invest in a road, you know, is because of the economic benefit, not today, but for tomorrow. Education has an 18-year return on that investment. You invest today, somebody has to move through the entire education system in order to be productive at 2021. Therefore, we need to look at how do we spend on education consistently for the next 18 to 20 years in such a way that we will start getting the benefit of increased productivity. Government can tax that more revenues coming into the government distribute that better. That's how we're going to move the needle. We have to make a long-term investment such that the teachers have the resources, the students have the resources, the schools have the resources, and it is something that, you know, while we say that we cannot afford it, it is something that we must find a way to afford. And I have opinions on that we can talk about another day, but it's something that must be done, and we keep kicking the can down the road.
Okay, I think Mark Anderson, PPP, Mark. You go ahead. We only have a little more time left, but go ahead.
Thank you. A lot of schools, from just my view of the presentation, seems to be digital, online, and AI inclusive. A number of studies have been showing where brain development might be negatively impacted from excessive screen time and not having that sort of tactile interaction with the material. Is this a concern for you, or how is this addressed?
No, that's a very good question. So again, I have 3 daughters, and my wife, badgers me every day about the screen time of the kids, right? We try to limit it as much as possible because we see how they behave when they spend too much time on it. So, that is a problem I'm solving at home. Forget about the company, right? But just answer the question on the company side. From my perspective, we believe that the best form of learning is by doing, right? Like, going out in the field and doing, right? Using those resources and making something of them in the same way we used to do it. But I do believe that the technology is available to augment that. And so you must have a combination of the two. And so I think too much of one thing is a problem. And therefore, we need to ensure that we apportion the time in such a way. So for my daughters, for example, I allow them to do, for example, 1 to 2 hours of, let's say, coding or games on the tablet, and then kind of take them outside and do an activity kind of thing. And I try to do that. It's very tough, however, but I do recognize that too much screen time is a problem. But we try to balance it. But there's something that is best done on a computer, and it's pointless to kind of move to legacy system. Like, for example, right now teachers are marking papers, and it takes a lot of time. The AI can do as good a job of marking the papers, allowing the teachers to teach more. So therefore, the kids would need to be on that computer to take that test so that the computer can mark it. So it's just to balance it as we do everything else. But I do agree that too much screen time is a problem, and it affects the kids. And this is my anecdotal view. I have not done any research or seen anything to justify that, but just my kids and just seeing my kids and how they behave.
I know it might not, if I may follow on, I know it might not funnel all the traffic 100% through your framework, but I hope that you, over time, envelop that sort of balance in the delivery with your various clients and stakeholders, because I think that is very important.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, I just have one more question. If there is, nobody has their hand up. DLG Keith, I saw your mic was open. I don't know if that was in anticipation of asking a question. I did mute you, so if you wanted to ask a question, just unmute yourself. But maybe you just had it open by accident.
By accident, DP Stewart. Sorry about that. Yes.
No problem. No problem. Okay. Well, let me just say, I think we have exhausted the questions, and thanks again. But we have someone designated to do your thank you. So I'm gonna pass it back to President Stephen, and he can take it from there.
Thank you, DP Stu. Thank you again also, Ricardo, for your presentation. But I'm now going to ask distinguished President Rupert to have the honor of formally thanking you for your presentation. Over to you, DP Rupert.
Thank you, Prez. This is a real grand privilege for me on behalf of all of us who were on the call to say thanks to Sir Ricardo. Firstly, welcome home, sir. Welcome home to your Kiwanis family.
Yeah.
We're gonna officially have a get together with you at the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. You need to come and line with us or have a good time with us, sir.
Yeah.
I want to also thank you for what you have said. It's a very good presentation. We recognize through this presentation that you're a young man of vision. Keep up the good work, sir. You have shown us in this presentation a vision of the future. In fact, it's not even a vision of the future, it's now. What's called the fourth industrial revolution is with us, and this is driven by technology and a change in the way we think and do things, especially in education. And if we, the term that you use is legacy education, where if we maintain just the things of the past, we're going to be left behind. And we wish you well in your entrepreneurial, educational outputs at one-on-one. We should not leave any student behind was one of the things that came out in your presentation, and we thank you for that. The presentation has been informative and thought-provoking, and all of us who are here just want to say thanks. We have been from the east and the west, the north and the south, Barbados, United States, and we just want to say thanks. And on behalf of all of us, keep up the good work, sir. There's a certificate of appreciation that the Kiwanis Club of Kingston wants to present to you. We can do it two ways. One is that you need to come to probably a face-to-face meeting to get it, or we can send somebody to deliver it to you. It's been shown on the screen.
I'll come. I love the energy.
Man, you're a man after my own heart, sir. Thank you, Doc. You have done us well, and we just want to wish you well.
Thank you.
As you serve not only Jamaica but the Caribbean. Congratulations from all of us too, and all those. In a few years, I hope they probably give you some special award. But all those accolades that your company has been receiving, if you weren't doing something good, you wouldn't have received it. So we want to congratulate you too.
Thank you.
Once again, sir, thank you. Lest I say too much, but it has been good to see you, man. As a young man, you make me feel proud. As a former key clubber, you make us feel proud. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Thanks for being with us, sir.
Thank you.
Press back to you.
Okay, thank you, DP Rupert, and thank you again, Ricardo, for that presentation. As you see, it was very enlightening, and most people enjoyed it. We hope that we can invite you back maybe in the near future when you have a lot more that you can share based on your plans for the future. So on behalf of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, I also extend my personal thanks to you. All right, before we conclude the meeting, next on the program is Sergeant at Arms. I'm going to just level a blanket fine. As some of you may know, we are now, as of June 1st, the hurricane season started, and we recently saw a Category 5 hurricane being developed, thankfully, over the Atlantic Ocean. So the fine for this evening, this is for the Kiwanis Club of Kingston members. Those of you who have started your hurricane preparedness and have your hurricane kit at home, like a good Kiwanian or a good Boy Scout or a Girl Guide, you only have to pay a fine of $300. For those members who have not bought their hurricane kit yet and have their batteries and other supplies at home, we're going to fine you $500 at this time. You can make the payment into our administrative account, and it will help us with all the activities that we're doing. So $300 if you are well prepared and have your kit at home, $500 if you haven't started your preparations. Don't wait until the hurricane is coming to start to buy your relief supplies. Do it now. Be prepared. So on that note, we're going to move now to notices and announcements, and I'm going to
sorry, President Stephen, can you?
Yes, go ahead.
My screen, I've kind of got stuck. I'm trying to get rid of sharing. Can you share yours so maybe that will get rid of my screen being on, or is it on?
It is on, but when I try to share, it's saying host disabled participant screen. So I'm unable to share also.
I'm not sure if I did something. All right, just continue.
What is showing is a YouTube Premium stream, but I can't share now. I think it's still locked into your sharing option.
Oh, hold on. I think I got it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, it's gone now. That's it.
Okay.
Problem solved. All right, thank you. All right, I was saying earlier that I'd like to hand over to Secretary Willie, DLG Willie Reason, if there's any interclubbing or announcements at this time from Kiwanis Club of Kingston.
Thank you, President Stephen. These two announcements are reminders for our members. Certainly on Saturday morning, we'll be having a games day at the Salvation Army Francis Ham residence for the elderly between 9 and 11. We're hoping for an early start because there's going to be a funeral there at the School for the Blind, which I was advised of by Major Brown. But this is actually incentive by the president, Thais from UTEC, CKI, and they've asked us to partner with them. The aim is to provide a fun, engaging, and meaningful day for elderly residents through creative activities, games, and volunteer interaction. Activity is going to consist of canvas painting, volunteer guidance, little dominoes, and definitely some little refreshments and hydration and friendly conversation and support from volunteers. So hopefully our members will see fit to turn up. We need at least a few volunteers to assist us with the canvas painting or at least interact with the senior residents. So that's Saturday morning, Salvation Army, Manisville Road, 9 o'clock. And then that's on Friday, August 29th. Just to highlight again the ECNC Charity Ball for the SFP Scholarships and Growth. Currently, we have sold 5 tickets. I was hoping that we'd have sold more, that we could at least have a table assigned to us. But anyway, if anybody wants tickets, or we still have tickets available, just give me a call or give President Stephen a call. Cost is $18,000. Those are the announcements in respect to the interclubbing opportunities. I will advise members by email tomorrow of our upcoming interclubbing opportunities. Thank you, President Stephen. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, DLG Willie. Please, members, kind of roll out for that project that we have this Saturday. The more participants we have, the more volunteers, the more we can make an impact on the lives of the elderly. And, that's what Kiwanis is about, community support. So we also have quite a few clubs that are on the call on the platform this evening. I'm going to extend the opportunity to them if they wish to announce anything an event that is going on within their club at this time. Please open your microphone and share with us whatever is going on. New Kingston, Portmore, West St. Andrew. If any of you have any announcements, now is the time.
President Stephen?
Yes, go ahead. President Eddie, I see you. Go ahead. You have the floor.
We will be in Jamaica.
Nice.
Tomorrow.
Ah.
And we're having a back-to-school dental fair on Monday at 10 o'clock at the Red Cross building on Arnold Road.
Red Cross building, Arnold Road. Okay. Yep.
Any Kiwanians who want to come help us,
Sure.
we're welcome to help.
Okay. What you can do, Eddie, is can you put your contact information in the chat so everybody can see it if they want to help out or to find out more information? Just put it in the chat, your information.
I will, but also DLG Willie has it.
Has it? Okay. All right.
And contact with him regularly.
Okay. Good.
All right. Thank you.
That's Kiwanis Club of Global Alliance, right? Yep. Got it. Any other clubs with announcements at this time? Going once? Going twice? If not, I'm assuming that everybody is going to be coming to the Seniors Games Day and the Global Alliance handover on Monday. If not, everybody be safe. Is DP Marcel online? I can't see. There are quite a few people here.
No, I'm seeing him.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will just close the meeting to thank everyone, especially our guest speaker again, Ricardo Allen, for his presentation. Remember, we meet every Tuesday at 7 o'clock right here on this platform. Sometimes we'll have in-person meeting. And we thank you for your participation. We look forward to your continued support. Everybody be safe out there as we get into both the hurricane season as well as the election season, that we all take time to look out for ourselves and our fellow brothers and sisters. So on that note, I will ask you to raise your virtual glasses and let us close the meeting by offering a toast to Kiwanis International and to Jamaica Land We Love. Cheers. I now formally conclude this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Be safe and good night, everyone.
And may I just ask Ricardo if he can just stick around for about 5 minutes? There was a little follow-up question. I don't know if he's still on. Hopefully he's still on.
I hope so.
Now that the meeting is closed, and then we just have a little question that I didn't get in when he was doing his presentation. So the meeting is over now, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
I'm looking for Ricardo.
He was on, and then I don't know if he's. Let me just check.
He's gone.
No, he's gone. I wanted to mention it before we actually closed, but then he probably would have thought that was the end. Because I kind of wanted to know to what extent the school system is embracing what he is about from a technology point of view. You know, I was kind of it's something that struck me when he was doing the presentation, but I didn't want to extend that time frame, so I didn't really ask him. Anyway, I'll ask him afterwards, and maybe I can give some feedback. So that's it. Let me just close this platform 1 second.